Hello everyone. In my previous lectures, I have already discussed the initial stages of metallurgical operations, which included the concentration and the conversion of concentrated ore into its metal oxide. Now, the next very important step is the reduction or electrodation of metal oxides into free metal. The roasted or the calcination ore is now reduced to metal by using a suitable reducing agent. The choice of the reducing agent, however, depends upon the reactivity of the metal. If the metal to be extracted is very reactive, like alkali metals or alkaline earth metals or aluminium, then the reduction of the oxide can be done only by the electrolytic method. However, the oxides of less reactive metals such as zinc, iron, copper, lead, tin, manganese and chromium etc. can be removed by a number of reducing agents such as carbon in the form of coke, carbon monoxide or even another metal. When carbon is used as a reducing agent, it combines with oxygen of the metal oxide to form carbon monoxide. As you can see here in the reactions given, the metal oxide is reacting with carbon to give crude metal and carbon monoxide. The process usually involves heating of metal oxide with the suitable agent. In this way, this process of extraction of metal by heating the metal oxide with a suitable reducing agent is called pyrometallurgy. It is also observed that some metals are easily reduced. That means the reduction occurs at low temperature, but others are reduced with difficulty. That is, reduction occurs at high temperature. To predict which element will be the most suitable reagent for a given metal oxide and what would be the optimum temperature at which reduction will proceed smoothly, basic concept of thermodynamics is quite useful that we have already discussed in our previous lecture in Allen-Gum diagram. Applications of pyrometallurgy. Let us discuss the extraction of iron first. During extraction of iron from its oxide in blast furnace in the zone of reduction, the ore of iron like hematite, limonite, magnetite, etc. are reduced to iron by carbon monoxide. Let's discuss the extraction of iron from its oxide briefly. Iron is usually extracted from its oxide ore, that is hematite. It involves concentration, where the ore is crushed in jaw crushers and is concentrated by gravity separation process, where the crushed ore is washed in a stream of water where the lighter sand and clay particles are washed away and the heavier ore particles are separated. In case if iron pyrite is there, its concentration is carried out by froth flotation process. After this, it's calcinated. The concentrated ore is then calcinated. It's heated strongly in presence of limited supply of air in a reverberatory furnace. And during calcination, the moisture is removed, the volatile content is removed, ferrous oxide is oxidized to give ferric oxide. The ore becomes porous and now it is more suitable for reduction to the metallic state. The next step comes is smelting. This is where the oxides are converted to ore by carbon monoxide. Smelting takes place in blast furnace. Inside the blast furnace, there are different zones depending upon the temperature. The zone of combustion, the zone of heat absorption, the zone of slag formation, zone of reduction, and zone of fusion. The reduction of iron oxides inside the blast furnace takes place in the zone of reduction. This is the upper part of the furnace, and the temperature here is between 500 to 900 Kelvin, and the ore is reduced to iron by carbon monoxide. Similarly, in extraction of copper from copper oxide, pyrometallurgy is again used. If you remember, in the Allen-Cumb diagram, the copper to cuprous oxide curve is almost at the top, while carbon-carbon monoxide and the carbon-carbon dioxide curve lies much below, in particularly in the temperature range between 500 to 600 Kelvin. This means that it is very easy to reduce cuprous oxide to metallic copper by heating it with coke. Since most of the ores of carbons are sulfide, most of the ores of copper are sulfide. Therefore, the sulfide ores are concentrated first by froth flotation process, and then they are roasted in a reverberatory furnace to convert them into the oxides. These oxides can be reduced to metallic copper by using coke as a reducing agent. However, in the actual process, the sulfide ore, that is the copper pyrite, is concentrated by froth flotation process, and then in a reverberatory furnace, this copper pyrite is converted to a mixture of ferrous sulfide and cuprous sulfide. Now, iron is more reactive than copper, so ferrous sulfide is preferentially oxidized to ferrous oxide than cuprous sulfide to cuprous oxide. If any of the cuprous oxide is formed, it combines with ferrous sulfide and is changed back to cuprous sulfide. So the roasted ores are mainly, this roasted ore of copper mainly contains cuprous sulfide and ferrous oxide along with some unreacted ferrous sulfide. So this is smelting, where the roasted ore is mixed with silica and then some powdered ore to check the oxidation of ferrous oxide to ferric oxide is added, and it is heated strongly in a blast furnace. This is called smelting. Similarly, in the extraction of zinc from zinc oxide, this again is used. Second very important application of pyrometallurgy can be seen as aluminothermite process. Usually, a broken iron article is taken to a welding shop for repair. But it is difficult to take a broken girder or some cracked railway track to the industry for repair. Now, how the welding equipment can be brought to the site for repair? What is the process? How it is done? This is done by aluminothermite process, which is also known as aluminothermy. This is the process of reduction of metal oxide into metal with the help of aluminium powder as a reducing agent. It is also called as Goldschmidt thermite process. In this process, a mixture of aluminum powder and ferric oxide, which is called as thermite, is ignited in a closed crucible for inserting a burning magnesium ribbon into an ignition mixture consisting of magnesium powder and barium peroxide. The ignition powder burns to produce a large amount of heat, which is needed to initiate the reaction. The reaction is highly exothermic. As a result, iron is produced in the molten state and thus can be used to weld the heavy machinery of all kinds such as girders and railway tracks. After the conversion of metal oxide into metal, the important step is refining. The process of extraction of metal by electrolysis of their fused state is called electrometallurgy. In this process, electron serves as a reducing agent. The metal formed after the reduction process is still impure and is called crude metal. Many impurities are present in it. Some other metals are also there in it. Non-metal impurities are there. Unreacted oxides and sulfides of metals are there. Residual slag and fluxes are present there. So now it is important to purify the metal. This process of purification of crude metal is called refining. Some of the common methods of refining are distillation, liquefaction, electrolytic refining, zone refining, which is also called as fractional crystallization, vapor phase refining, which is done by Mons process and by Van Arkel method, and is chromatographic adsorption method. Distillation. This method is employed for purification of volatile metals like zinc, mercury, cadmium, etc. The impure metal is heated in an iron retort and the vapors are condensed in separate receivers. The pure metal distills over, leaving behind the non-volatile, which are having higher boiling point impurities in the retort. In the liquefaction process, this method is used for purification of such metals as contain impurities which are less fusible than the metal themselves. That is, the melting point of the metals are lower than that of the impurities. The crude metal is heated in an inert atmosphere of carbon monoxide on the sloping hearth of a reverberatory furnace. When the metal melts and flows down into the receiver, leaving the infusible impurities on the hearth. Metals like tin and lead are purified by this method. Electrolytic refining. A large number of metals such as copper, silver, gold, lead, nickel, chromium, zinc, aluminium, etc. are refined by this method. As you can see in the picture, the impure metal is converted into a block which forms the anode, while cathode is made up of a pure strip of the same metal. These electrodes are suspended in an electrolyte which is a solution of the soluble salt of the metal itself, usually a double salt of the metal. When electric current is passed, the metal ions from the electrolytes are deposited at the cathode in the form of pure metal, while an equivalent amount of metal dissolves from the anode and goes into the electrolytic solution as metal ions. As you can see here, the reactions that occur at anode and cathode. The net result of electrolytic refining is the transfer of pure metal from the anode to cathode. The voltage applied for electrolysis is such that the impurities of more basic metals, that is the more electropositive metals, remain in the solution as ions, while the impurities of less basic metals, which are less electropositive, settle down under the anode as anode mud or anode sludge. In case of electrolytic refining of copper, the crude copper metal, which is also called as blister copper, is made the anode. A thin sheet of pure copper is made the cathode, while copper sulfate solution acidified with sulfuric acid is taken as electrolyte. The net result of electrolysis is the transfer of copper in pure form from the anode to the cathode. The impurities of iron, nickel, zinc and cobalt present in the blister copper, being more electropositive, passed into the solution, while the impurities of antimony, selenium, tellurium, silver, gold or platinum, being less electropositive, are unaffected by copper sulfate sulfuric acid solution and they hence settle down under the anode as anode mud. The recovery of the precious metals such as silver, gold or platinum from the anode mud is quite expensive. The copper thus here obtained after the refining is about 99.95% pure. Next comes is the zone refining. This method is extremely useful for producing metals of very high purity like germanium, silicon, boron, gallium, indium. This method is based upon the principle that the impurities are more soluble in molten state than in the solid state of the metals. In other words, you can say when the molten metal of an impure metal is allowed to cool, the pure metal crystallizes out while the impurities remain in the melt. Here in this method, the impure metal is converted into a bar which is heated at one end with a moving circular heater so that this end melts and forms a molten zone. As the heater is slowly moved along the length of the rod, the pure metal crystallizes out of the melt, whereas the impurities pass into the adjacent molten zone. This process is repeated several times till the impurities are completely driven to one end of the rod, which is then cut off and discarded. This process is usually carried out in an inert atmosphere to prevent the oxidation of the metal. Semiconductors like silicon, germanium, gallium, these are purified by this method. These elements obtained here are of high purity. If you take the case of germanium, which is prepared by this method, it contains as little as 7 to 10 ppm of impurities. The next refining method is vapor phase refining. In this method, the crude metal is freed from impurities by first converting it into a suitable volatile compound by heating it with a specific reagent at a lower temperature, and then decomposing the volatile compound at some higher temperature to give the purest form of the metal. Thus, the two requirements here are: first, the metal should form a volatile compound with a suitable reagent, and second, the volatile compound should be easily decomposable so that the recovery is easy. This method can be illustrated by following two, that is Mons process and Van Arkel method. Mons process is used for refining of nickel. Here, the impure nickel is heated in a current of carbon monoxide at 330 to 350 Kelvin, where it is converted to nickel tetracarbonyl complex. The impurities are left behind. This nickel tetracarbonyl compound thus obtained is heated at a higher temperature, where it undergoes thermal decomposition to give pure nickel. In Van Arkel method, it is used for preparing ultra pure metals by removing all the oxygen and nitrogen content present in the metal as impurities. The metals which are refined by this process are zirconium and titanium, which are used in space technology. In this method, the crude zirconium is heated in an evacuated vessel with iodine at 870 Kelvin. As a result, volatile zirconium tetraiodide is formed, which is separated and then decomposed by heating over a tungsten filament to give pure zirconium. Similarly, titanium is converted to pure titanium. Chromatographic method. Chromatography is the most modern and versatile method for separation, purification, and testing of elements and their compounds. The method is based upon the principle that the different components of a mixture are adsorbed to different extent on an adsorbent. It's essentially a physical technique. It consists of two phases, the stationary phase and the mobile phase. Stationary phase can be either a solid such as alumina or silica gel, or some tightly bonded liquid on a solid support, like a paper in which liquid water is held by solid cellulose. While the mobile phase can be liquid, gas, or a supercritical fluid such as carbon dioxide. Depending upon the physical state of the stationary phase and the moving phase, and also on the process of passage of the moving phase, chromatography can be of several types such as column chromatography, partition chromatography, gas chromatography, etc. So this technique is specially suitable for such elements which are available only in a minute quantity and the impurities are not very different in chemical properties from the elements to be purified. Lanthanides or the rare earth elements are purified by this technique using an exchange as adsorbent. So this was all about refining. In my next discussion, I'll be taking the metallurgical operations used in metallurgy of iron and copper. Till then, thank you.